Om Bhagishadya Sumanasaha Sattvarthanamupakkrame Yam Natva Kritakritya Asyuhutam Namami Gajananam Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaita Amritavarshiniim Bhagavatim Ashtadashaadhyayinim Ambattvamanusandadavi Bhagavad Gite Bhavatveshinim Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Vande Paramanandamadavam Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yoginam Vishwanathakyam Asmattata Swarupinam Atmalabhat Param Labham Vaktaram Nakadachana Gita Grantakartaram Sri Gurum Pranamamyaham Yontah Pravishya Vacham Dhrutim Buddhim Prachodayat Om Namah Sababhyas Sabapatibhyasya O Namaha Om. Friends, we are now in the Gita Regimen series for Advaitic living, session number 16. We are taking up shloka number 3rd chapter, 9th shloka. We shall go probably up to 3rd chapter, 16th shloka. Last time we stopped with that 8th shloka, Niyatam kuru karmatvam karmatyayosya karmanaham. Do your duty. Do discharge your obligatory duties. You see, karma, action, is always better than not doing any action. Akarmanaha, karmatyayo api akarmanaha. All this came up because Arjuna asked a very legitimate question. Krishna, you talked about karma, importance of karma in the 2nd chapter, and you finally also talked about yukta asita matparaha, sit in meditation, surrendering to you. So which is better, the pravritti part, the action part, or the nivritti part, the non-action part? Which is better? Tell me. And Krishna answers, there is no choice for any single person between this and that. Certain persons are eligible for doing action, the karma yoga part. Certain persons are eligible for the jnana yoga part. So he says very emphatically, jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. For the sankhya's, the philosophers, the intellectual thinkers, for them this is jnana yoga. And for the yogis, the karma yogis, the ones who are interested in karma, for them it is the karma yoga. By being inactive, that is not doing any action, you will not be able to reach that stage of actionlessness. He introduced a very interesting word, naishkarmyam, in shloka number 4. 3rd chapter 4, naishkarmyam, actionlessness. It does not mean you are not acting. You are acting, but still there is an attitude of actionlessness. We will explain it as we go along. In fact, the whole Gita is about this. How to be actionless in spite of doing action. That is the content of the whole Gita. So then, not even for a single moment anybody can be without action. Your Prakriti. We introduced another technical word, Prakriti. Naishkarmyam was one technical word. Prakriti is another technical word. These are important words. I will be coming back to these words almost every day. So then, Prakriti, because of your nature, your own nature, your swabhava, you will be doing action, you will be thinking. You see, therefore, but he who controls, he who keeps his organs of action inactive and thinks that he has done the actionless part. No. his mind will be thinking about several things. Such a person is a mithyachara, is a hypocrite. On the other hand, by controlling the thinking part also, if you do your actions by the Karma Yoga way, given in the Gita way, second chapter, then that is called asaktaha. That is the unattached way of doing things. That way you should do all your actions. Niyatam kuru karmatvam. That was shloka 8. Now therefore the question comes up. So we have to act, but at the same time we have to be actionless. The action should not give us any vasana for our spiritual ascent purposes. For the spiritual ascent, there should not remain any vasanas. How does one remain without vasanas? While doing action, while discharging all your duties. You have to discharge all your duties. From morning till evening till night, you have several things to discharge, several things to do. How do you do this? Krishna says in shloka number 9, he uses a very interesting, powerful word, yajna. Yajnarthat karmanonyatra. I am reading shloka number 9. That is where we start today. Yajnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanah tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangas samachara. Yajna. I will explain the meaning of yajna very soon. But right now, let me get the meaning of the shloka. Yajnarthat anyatra karmanaha. For the purpose of yajna, other than the purpose of yajna, anyatra yajnarthat karmanaha. Other than the purpose of yajna, whatever action you do, I am lokaha karma bandhanaha. This will bind you to this world. Therefore, tadartham karma kaunteya. Do all your actions, duties for the purpose of yajna. Mukta sangas samachara. Do your actions. Samachara. Achara means do your actions. Samachara means do your actions efficiently, effectively. Mukta sangaha. Disassociating from yourself, from all the attachment. Mukta sangaha, without attachment. So all these are clear. Yajna artha, yajna. What does it mean, yajna? In fact, yajna is a word. Yajna, the connotation of the meaning of yajna is the greatest contribution of Gita to the culture, to the philosophical culture of the entire world. Because that is this particular meaning, and the way he uses the word yajna in Gita, I am not sure whether it is there in any of the other part of Hindu scriptures. You see? So, yajna simply means Vishnu. Yajna also means sacrifice, tyaga. Not exactly sacrifice pure, just pure and simple. The element of sacrifice has to be built into yajna. So, in fact, the bottom line meaning of yajna is unselfish, dedicated action. An action which is done not for one's own purpose, but for a noble cause, for a noble purpose, or for the cause of another, or for loka sangraha, for the welfare of the world, right? Without any selfish reason, unselfish. That is called yajna. How does this meaning come? You will know only as we go along, slowly. But this is the meaning which has come up from all the various commentators, and over the years, this is the meaning which has developed. And this is the meaning which Krishna infers throughout whenever he uses the word yajna. So, yajnarthat karmanonyatra. Every action every duty has to be discharged, every action has to be done in the yajna. It is an attitude of unselfishness, attitude of yajna. So the next shloka says, so I am going to take up now shlokas 10 to 15 in two bunches, first 3 and then the next 3, 10 to 15, 6 shlokas. This talks about yajna and the cosmic ecology from this yajna. So, shloka number 10. Saha yajna praja srishtva purovacha prajapatihim anena prasavishyadvam yeshavostvishta kamaduk. The Brahma, the creator, Prajapati, Pura, once upon a time, long ago, Praja Srishtva, he created the people, Saha Yajna, along with Yajna. He did not create people just like that. Along with Yajna, along with sacrifice, along with the concept of Yajna. And therefore Brahma says, Prajapati says, Anena prasavishyadvam yeshavostvishta kamadhuk. He created the people and he said yajna was also created along with it. In fact, the creation itself was a yajna. That is what the Purusha Sukta says. Anyway, that is a little high standard. Let us not get into it. Anena prasavishyadvam. By this yajna, all of you may prosper. Yeshavostvishta kamadhuk. So he says, I have created you along with yajna. By this yajna, may you prosper, may you multiply. Ishta kamadhuk. May this give you everything that you want. Ishta kamadhuk. Ishta means whatever you want. Kama, your desire. Kamadhuk. It milks as if. It milks whatever you desire. Yajna will do that. And therefore he goes on, because these shlokas 10, 11 and 12 have to be read together. So 11. Devan bhavayata nena te deva bhavayantu vaham parasparam bhavayantaham sheyah paramavapsyate. I assume that all of you have the books in your hand, because we will be going back and forth in these 6 shlokas. Devan bhavayata anena te deva bhavayantu vaha. The divines, he created people, he also created divines. The divines, they will be propitiated, they will be satisfied by this. Te deva bhavayantu vaham. Having been satisfied by you, by propitiated by you through the yajna. Yajna means sacrifice, I told you. Yajna technically means there are various yajnas. Ashwamedha yajna, Paka yajna, Brahma yajna. Like that there are rituals which are called yajnas. Right? These are described in the Vedas. Devan bhavayatan anena. The divines will be satisfied by this and they will repay you, recompense you as if in return. Parasparam bhavayantaha. Mutually you will benefit. The divines will benefit from your yajna, you will benefit from the yajna. Sir, what is all this? I am not going to believe all this. This takes us somewhere beyond our common sense. This is the natural modern student's reaction, to such things. So I am going to give you for all these shlokas 3 different interpretations, 3 meanings. Actually only one traditional meaning. That traditional meaning has been further supplemented by Swami Chinmayananda, and then it is further technically corrected by Aurobindo. So I am going to give you 3 meanings. One is the traditional meaning. What is the traditional meaning? It goes back to all the acharyas, Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, all the acharyas down the line up to modern Shivananda, or all the acharyas of the various mathas, the mats. You see? So I am giving you the traditional meaning first. The divines are satisfied by your yajnas and they give you back. Parasparam bhavayantah, mutual satisfaction. It is a give and take. Shreya param avapsyate, both obtain the greatest good. And then in the third sloka it says, number 12, Ishtan bhogan hivo devaha dasyante yajnabhavitaha, having those who are propitiated by this yajna, the various ritualistic yajnas that the Vedas describe. Ishtan bhogan hi o deva dasyante, they give you, o deva dasyante, these divines will give you back ishtan bhogan, whatever pleasures, whatever material happiness you want. Ishtan bhogan dasyante. So they give you food, they give you everything. Tair dattan apradaya hibhyo, they have, the divines have given you, gods have given you in return to your yajnas. Now, whatever they have given, you certainly consume, you experience, you enjoy, and you eat that food which they have given you as this thing. Tair dattan apradaya hibhyo, without giving it back to them, without giving anything to them, in some sense, without thanking them, apradayebhyo yo bhunte, whoever enjoys or experiences or consumes, yaha bhunte, bhunte means eats, stenaye vasaha, he is a thief, stenaha, chor, stenaye vasaha. So these three slokas very simply tell you the standard traditional meaning. Yajnas are ritualistic sacrifices. They are prescribed in the Vedas. You have to be keep doing these yajnas for the devas. The devas are satisfied by your actions of the yajnas. So they give you. What they give you, I will tell you in the next three slokas. So parasparam, there is a mutual give and take. So you do the yajnas, they give you all the material pleasures, material bounties that you want, and you better thank them and give it back to them. This is what 10, 11 and 12 says. Remember, I am telling you the traditional meaning. I am going to come back to the modern flavor very soon. Wait. Let's go to 13, 14, 15. 13. Yajnashishtashinas samto muchyante sarvakilbishai bhunjate te tvagam papa ye pachanti atmakaranat. Having done the yajnas, yajna means yaga, yajnas, yajna shishta ashinaha, shishta means remnants. The remnants of the yajna, that is your prasad. The sadhus, the wise people, consume or take with great respect the remnants of the yajna. They are released, absolved from all kilbisha. Sarva kilbishaihi muchyante. Bhunjate te tvagam papa ye pachanti atmakaranat. Bhunjate te agam papaha. Agam means sin. Right? Sin. Papa, that is, ye pachanti atmakarana, those who cook for selfish reasons. Atmakarana. You see, previous shloka it said, if you do not give it back to them, you are a thief. So that is further explained. If one cooks for oneself and eats it, bhunjate, he only eats sin. Agam papaha ye pachanti atmakarana. Remember, that is why in all Hindu households, people offer their food to God before they eat it. This is a standard reason why we have to offer food to God before we eat it. Yajnashishtashinas samto muchyante sarva kilbishai bhunjate te tvagam papa. They eat sin. Ye pachanti atmakaranat. You see, somewhere we said दोग्धा गोपालनंदन सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनंदन पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर भोक्ता दुग्धम गीतामृतम. Upanishads are the milk or the cows, and Krishna is the milkman who milks the Upanishads and gives you that essence, that milk. Sarvopanishado gavaha dogdha gopalanandana. So the Vedas have said this. This bunjate tvagam papa, whoever cooks for selfish reasons, atmakaranat, for one's own self, he eats only sin. The Veda says, Moghamannam vindate Yajurveda. I am quoting from Yajurveda, but this also occurs in Rigveda. Moghamannam vindate aprachetoham satyam bravimi vadayit satasyam natyamanam pushyate no sakayam kevalagho bhavati kevaladi. The one who eats without giving it back to them, I am telling you the truth. Satyam bravimi. Kevalagho bhavati kevaladi. What does he eat, such a person who cooks for selfish reasons? He eats garbage. Kevala agaha. He eats only garbage. Kevalago bhavati kevaladi. So that is what this Gita is using here. Gita, you can see here how Sarvopanishado Govaha, how all the Upanishads are cows and Krishna is milking them and giving it to them. Same words are being used. Bunjate te tvagam papa ye pachanti atmakarana. Whoever cooks for selfish reason, he eat only sin. And then the next sloka, 14. Annat bhavanti bhutani. From food, annat. From food, all the living beings arise. And where does the food come from? Parjanyad anna sambhavaham. Food comes from rain. Certainly. Annad yajnat bhavati parjanya. Mark it. Be careful. Sit up now. Yajnat bhavati parjanya. The rain comes from yajna. This is the crucial point. This is where our modern people do not understand it. They immediately want to throw the Gita book away and go away. I will explain. Yajnat bhavati parjanya. The rain comes from the yajna. So this is the traditional meaning. I am going to come to the modern meaning very soon. Yajnat bhavati parjanya. And where does the yajna come from? Yajna karma samudbhavah. From your actions. From your ritualistic actions or other obligatory actions. Karma, action introduces, brings up yajna. Where does that action come from? Karma brahmotbhavam viddhi. Karma action comes from the Vedas. Brahma is Vedas here. Karma brahmotbhavam viddhi. Where does the Veda comes from? Akshara samudbhavam. Brahma akshara samudbhavam. Brahma, that Vedas come from the imperishable. Akshara, imperishable, from that it comes. So, the imperishable, supreme reality, from that Brahman, from that the karma, action, from the action, yajna, from yajna comes rain. That is a traditional idea. Yajna comes, from yajna comes rain, from rain comes the food, from food comes all the living beings. This is the cosmic ecology. Evam pravartitam chakram. 16. Evam pravartitam chakram nanu vartayati hayaga. This cosmic ecology, whoever does not follow, nanu vartayati hayaga, whoever does not follow in this world, aghayuhu, he only, his life is of sin, sinful life. Indriyaramaha, he revels only in the senses. It is as contrasted to Atmaramaha. We saw Atmaramaha in the famous shloka number 55 of second chapter. Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha. That is Atmaramaha, one who revels in the self. This person, Aghayu, whoever does not follow this cosmic ecology, he is an Indriyaramaha. He is revels only in his senses. Mogham partha sajivati. He lives in vain. Mogham sajivati. He lives in vain. So this is the cosmic ecology and the traditional meaning that I have explained of the shlokas 10 to 16, 11 to 16. And you know the difficult part was Yajnat Bhavati Parjanya. Yeah, from Yajna comes, rain comes. This is the difficult part that one modern person finds it difficult to understand. So Swami Chinmayananda has given a beautiful secular interpretation. He has taken all these meanings. He does not say that this meaning is wrong, but he supplements this by giving an extra connotation for yajna. What does he say now? So again go back. Devan bhavayata nena. Sloka number 11. The divines are propitiated by your yajnas and they return to you. Do not fail to give it back to them. Do not do anything for selfish reasons. This is the main trend of Shloka number 11, 12 and 13. So Swami Chinmayananda says, beautifully, I think, he produces the word productive potential. What do? There are industries, natural resources of nature. There is capital, wherewithal for any work, industry. So, capital, resources of nature, and then labor. These three things together have to be there. They have to coordinate. They have to work with each other. They have to respect each other in order to produce something out of the productive potential. If the productive potential has to be successful, has to be useful for the world, these three have to coordinate. So here he says, the divines is this productive potential. The divine element is this productive potential. You have to propitiate it. Devan bhavayata anena. So the yajna, by the proper use of the productive potential, you have to propitiate that thing, and therefore that will give you. If you properly propitiate it, properly use it, properly interact with it, then that will give you the desired result. Parasparam bhavayantah. So the productive potential will give it back to you. You have to properly use it. Ishtan bhogan jivo deva. They will give you all the things that you want. That is what happens. We know in a capitalistic industrial world. Sairdattan apradayebhyo. The labor has worked. The wherewithal capital has been used. The nature resources have been used. If you misappropriate, misuse any of the three, either the capital or the wherewithal or the labor, Tairdattan apradayebhya yo bhunte, whoever eats, whoever enjoys, whoever consumes, whoever experiences without properly propitiating all of the three, he is only a thief. Stena eva saha. A beautiful analysis of the economic industrial world. So, yajnasishtashanas santo. Out of this productive potential, whatever comes, you have to consume it, experience it, enjoy it. If you do it for selfish reasons, if you use it only for selfish purposes, you are eating only sin. Annat bhavati parjanyat. Annat bhavati bhutani. So from the food comes living beings, and the food comes from the rain. Rain comes from this productive potential. All the benefits come from this productive potential. That is the meaning of yajna bhavati parjanya. And that productive potential is a result of all the collective action taken. And of course, the rest of the meanings are the same as what we saw. So this kind of an extra connotation has been given by Swami. It's a beautiful one. The secular interpretation has been appreciated by Westerners, by people all over the world. It has so much appealed to all the people. That is why, that is one of the greatness of Swami Chinmayananda. Evam pravartitam chakram. This is the ecology. You have to follow it. Those who do not follow it are only people of sin. Now Aurobindo's interpretation, there is no change in interpretation, the same thing. That is the same traditional interpretation, he accepts it. Only when you come to karma brahmodbhavam with from the food beings, the food comes from rain, so he goes to traditional meaning. And the rain comes from yajna. Yajna comes from action. The action comes from Brahma Vedas, he said. That is where Aurobindo points his finger. Brahman. So he tells Shankaracharya, I mean, he wants to be more Advaitic than Advaita itself. So he says, Brahma is actionless. So Brahman cannot produce yajna. It is the Prakriti. So he interprets Brahman as Prakriti, Parashakti, the energy of the Brahman. You see, Brahman has two aspects, the Para Prakriti, the Apara Prakriti. Parashakti, Aparashakti. Supreme Shakti, the not so Supreme Shakti. Supreme Shakti is Parashakti, the personal goddess herself. But the Aparashakti is the energy of the Lord. See? So it is that energy that produces your action, and that energy comes from Brahma Akshara Sambhavam, comes from the great Akshara, this imperishable Akshara, that is Om, that letter. Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yajne Pratishtitam. Therefore, the Brahman which is everywhere, Nityam Yajne Pratishtitam, it is always established in Yajna. This is the meaning of the Aurobindo makes the correction to this traditional meaning. So from shloka number 9 to shloka number 16, this cosmic ecology has been done, and at this point there is a sudden break in the continuous flow of thoughts in the Gita. So the next shloka 17 is going to take you to a higher level, and it's going to be a 5-star shloka. But in the meantime, there are so many other things that I have to tell you about these 6 plus 6, the Yajna shlokas. So Yajna, all of them take it as unselfish, dedicated action. Any action done unselfishly, in a dedicated fashion, dedicated to a noble purpose or a noble cause or a noble person, that is Yajna. We are going to have a second round of talk on these 6 shlokas, and that will take us to shloka number 17. So with that, we will end the session today. There is so much to talk about Yajna. We will do that in the next session. Swasti prajabhya paripalayantam nyayena markena mahim mahisha go brahmanebhya shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.